All right, hey Blood Dads, we're here on Monday morning and we just had breakfast. We just left White River Junction and now we're at, let's turn this around, Sugarbush Farm. So this was one of our surprises that once we came up for our trip into Vermont, which we're in Vermont right now. Sugarbush Farms was one of, here at Woodstock, Vermont, this is one of the places that is a working farm. Such a beautiful area. As you can see here, they're open weekdays, 9 to 5, weekends, 9 to 5 as well, on holidays. There's just a small parking area, and we're going to walk up to where the actual house is, as well as they make cheese and maple syrup. So let me go ahead and pause it, and then we'll get to the information sign up ahead. So here where the information sign, it says, "Welcome to Sugarbush Farms." So here's where they make their cheeses. How they make their cheese. Here's the farm's history. And then there's 3 generations here on this farm. And there's the backdrop. And so that's where we're going to right now. We're going into the cheese making part of the factory. And then this area right over here is where they sell their merch. All right, let's see you inside. All right, so here's the front entrance to the cheese making area. Depending on the number of people, I may be able to talk or not talk. So, God made a farmer, and here we go. Okay. So as we enter into cheese making area, one of the first things, and we already been through here, so I have a little bit of information here, but here are the 6 steps of them making cheese. Now, who knew that it actually took 17 processes to go through the cheese making part of it? Let's start over here at the beginning. Now, when you first come in, they have a tasting, and the family members and or employees, they give you a taste of 4 different cheeses here. Jack cheese, extra sharp cheddar, smoked cheddar, as well as jalapeno cayenne pepper. You can't do it on your own. They'll talk about the cheese making process and give you different samples. This is our favorite, smoked cheese. And then they talk about the maple syrup process and the difference between the colors. In their store, they sell these different types of cheeses. So what we were seeing before, this is a cheese cutting machine right over here. And they wrap cheese, and then they wax the cheese. Not that they're waxing them, but they put a protective coating over it. And then here's a nice big block of cheese, as you can see, being waxed. And they do some packaging right over here. Here's the packaging process. The neatest thing about this is that it's interactive. Glad that daughter there, she was a little sassy attitude. She was able to be in that cheese wrapping process, which is neat. The interactive part of it is amazing, and not too many people, if you go to a working farm or packaging plant, that you actually have the ability to do that. So very, very interactive with the customers, and they ship all over. So we're about to go in the part here, but not yet, because now we're going to take you down to the maple farm area where they process all the maple syrup. Okay, you guys ready? All right, I'm gonna pause it. All right, so here's one of the interactive displays. So you can get a picture over here, maple syrup, and then over here is the Sugarbush Farm. There's a maple walk that you can do. We're gonna go down to the sugar house, and I'm gonna show some maple displays down there. So this is a self-guided tour with a really, really neat video of how maple syrup gets tapped from the tree, as well as how it's packaged. So we're going to go down there, not this house, this is a storehouse, but down to that second area right over there. Okay, so as you can see here, aging cooler holds about 35,000 pounds of cheese, up to 8 years. This is the house right over here. Once we go to the merch area, now you'll understand why the aging process is so important. All right, let's go down there. So this is the sugar house, and it overlooks this beautiful valley. Now, one of the things to note is the snowfall. Elevation on our farm is 1,066 feet, up to 1,600 feet on top of the Seaver Hill. 44 inches of rainfall average per year includes between 35 and 125 inches of snow per year. Now, for the last 3 months, I believe, we just talked to a bunch of people here in Vermont and New Hampshire. They've had record rainfall. We're talking more rainfall here than in Florida. And coming from Florida, we've got lots of rain, but not as much rain as they've had this season, which is unfortunate to them. But anyway, so let's talk about the snowfall. So you can see from the different years how much snowfall fell. And as we get higher and higher and higher, in 2017-18, 125 inches of snow fell. So that is definitely under my height and would be buried. So let's check out the sugar house down there. All right, so as we enter the maple house, let's check out the Sugarbush by numbers. So the farm was settled in 1770. I mean, we're talking about independence years here. The heirs and Luce family arrived here in 1945. Number of acres is 550. Number of trees tapped for maple syrup, 10,000. The coldest temperature here is -48. Most inches of snow in a year has been 128, as I showed you in that post over there. And gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup. 40 to 50 gallons of the pure stuff coming out of trees to just make a gallon of syrup. Crazy. Here's some information right over here talking about the farm area. But the neatest thing is their video, which I'm going to go ahead and play, and we'll play it in its entirety. All right. Press play. All right, here we go.
And on the 8th day, God looked around at his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn to feed the livestock and work all day in the fields. I need somebody with arms strong enough to wrestle a calf and yet gentle enough to cradle his own grandchild. I need somebody willing to sit up all night with a newborn colt and watch it die. Then dry his eyes and say, maybe next year. I need somebody who can shape an axe handle from an ash tree, shoe a horse, fix a harness with hay wire, and help the neighbor out of the ditch. I need someone who during harvesting and sugaring time will finish his 40-hour work week by Tuesday noon. Then with tired muscles, put in another 72 hours. So God made a farmer. Welcome to Sugarbush Farm. 550 acres of peace, beauty, and exceptional views, all from a working maple cheese and animal farm in Woodstock, Vermont.
In 1945, Jack and Mary heirs were lured back to Vermont to follow their dream of owning a hilltop farm. Granted, the farm had 2 old wood chunk stoves and no indoor plumbing, but it was all that Jack worked for. After a couple of years of milking 10 cows in the early 1950s and not making a living, Jack and Mary ventured into candy making and the bottling of maple syrup. From there, the family business kept growing. Then, in 1966, a fire swept through the smokehouse barn and the farmhouse. This misfortune allowed the heirs to rebuild with expansion in mind. My mother, Betsy, the daughter of Jack and Mary, my father, Larry, my brother, Ralph, and myself, Jeff, run the farm today. As a family working together, we have learned the benefits of running the farm, from growing corn to milking cows and making maple syrup. These traditions are still growing strong with each season that passes.
Look, it's about 4.5 buckets full maple syrup to make 1/4 of maple syrup.
Vermont is blessed with picture-perfect scenery from season to season. During the coldest months, January and February, farmers do all they can to keep the animals warm, fed, and dry. Temperatures can dip to 20 below zero during the night. Some days, this is the time to cut more firewood in preparation for sugaring season. As we mentioned earlier, Sugaring is a well-known event at Sugarbush Farm. By mid-February, we are busy preparing for the maple season. We still use the old-fashioned buckets, and we also use more modern plastic tubing, which connects the trees with miles of line. The sap runs from tree to tree into a large collection tub. We tackle about 5,000 trees, which takes a few weeks. The weather determines when the season will begin. We can only hope that the sap will run sometime between late February and mid-March. Once the nights dip into the 20s and the days reach the highs around 40, the season begins and the sap will drip into the buckets. At this point, the sap must be collected each day to ensure the fresh, top-quality syrup. A team of draft forces take us out to empty the buckets each day. They know the route so well they can start and stop without being told. Believe it or not, sap actually looks like water when it comes out of the tree. It takes about 40 to 50 gallons of sap boiled down to make 1 gallon of pure maple syrup. Once we collect the sap for the day, we bring it back to the sugar house and transfer it to boiling cans. The boiling crew is already stoking the fire to keep the evaporator at the perfect temperature, which will turn the extra water into steam. 1 year in advance, we are cutting and drying wood in preparation for the next sugaring season. If all goes well, 1 whole quarter will be enough wood to boil down 25 gallons of syrup. Days can be long in the sugar house. Some days we may be in there for 18 hours or more. This is definitely the family center during the season. Meals are brought in and many neighbors and friends stop by to swap stories and catch up on gossip. As the weather begins to warm up, usually in mid-April, we take the taps out of the tree so the sap can feed the new buds and leaves. All the buckets and plastic lines are washed and stored for the next season. By May, we're anxious for the first signs of spring. And the animals are ready to leave the pasture with their newborns. This is also a busy time in our cheese factory. Every other week for 3 days, we smoke the cheese. We're always aging our cheddar cheese. We package over 100 tons of cheese each year, so we always have plenty for our gift packages and our Vermont products room. Visitors welcome to sample of any cheeses and see how they're packaged. Jack and Marion came up with a process in the 1950s that allows cheese to keep low without refrigeration. Each bar of cheese is wrapped by hand with foil and dipped in wax, which makes shipping easier and transportation safer. Late spring to mid-fall is the most popular time to venture to Sugarbush. We thoroughly enjoy speaking with people from all over the world and sharing our family farm. Even our calves enjoy the attention. As the summer days grow shorter, the farmers know the growing will soon turn to a fall harvest. The foliage season is truly a blessing with all the hardwood trees showing their glorious colors of red, yellows, and browns. At this point, we're busy taking phone, fax, mail, and internet orders and packaging thousands of gift boxes for shipping all over the country and beyond. We are truly blessed with so much here at Sugarbush Farm. Our family shares a common goal of keeping the family farm as we work together with our dedicated staff, neighbors, and friends. Their enthusiasm, as well as the visitors who appreciate the efforts of working the land, are what keep the traditions of our family farm alive.
God had to have somebody willing to ride the ruts at double speed to get the hay in ahead of the rain, yet stop in midfield and race to help when he sees the first smoke from the neighbor's place. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody strong enough to cut trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to help a newborn calf to suckle, and who will stop his mower in an instant to avoid a baby turkey or fawn nesting in the grass. It has to be somebody that plows deep and straight and doesn't cut corners. Somebody who'd bind the family together with love for one another and pride in their accomplishments as a farm family working together. So God made a farmer.
All right, so that was an 8-minute video. Very, very important to understand the process of what they do here on this farm. But the really, really intriguing thing is understanding that don't be fooled by fake flavored syrups. This is Butterworth and Jemima and some other Vermont made, even Cracker Barrel. So here's pure 100% Vermont maple syrup. No coloring, no sugar, no preservatives, no corn syrup, which a lot of these are made out of. It takes 4 maple trees all season to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. Crazy. So here are all the maple, how the maple process goes. And I'm just showing you of the different places, or different things that they have. They have got the smokestack, the steam away pan. I don't know if I'm going in order. The back pan. Here's the filter press. And there's certainly different seasons in order to make maple syrup. And those are very, very important, as you saw in that video. There's some important information over here. And what you saw from the video is this machine right over here. So they said sometimes they spend 18 hours within just this one particular area. And this shows you how they make the maple syrup. There's the firebox. There's their calendars. And here are people from all over the New England area visiting right here at Sugarbush Farms. Here are people from all over the world, all over the United States. And then here's something really intriguing. It takes about 4.5 buckets full of maple syrup to make 1 quart of maple syrup. Right there. 4. All right. So now that we're here ending the tour of the maple syrup process, we're going to go to the merchandise shop, which is just on the other side of where they were making cheese. All right, let's head over there. All right, so here we are at the farm here. So they have they've got cookies, and they've got some jerky as well as maple syrup, some fudge, mustards. Now these aren't of the farm itself. So once we go into the store right over here, this is where the magic happens. Okay, so let's take a look at the merch that they have over here. So as you can see, they've got t-shirts. Definitely get a hat. So here's the maple syrups they were talking about. So that maple syrup right over there. It takes 4 trees to make a whole quart of that. And they tell you of the different grades. I did not know that.
My granddaughter, so let me know if you have any questions or
So here's the grade of the colors. And that's really, really important. And again, this is pure maple syrup, not the stuff that you buy in the store, which, unbeknownst to me, I did not know that. And then we have the cheeses that were right over here. So again, here's the Sugarbush Farm merchandise. Cheese nibbles, this is so good, right over here. And again, some more merchandise. Sorry, ma'am. All right. Now this is it right here. So we have different cheeses that you saw earlier in the video. Now the real neat thing is, so here's what I found out. The age of the cheese determines the flavor of the cheese. Okay.
Go too far because it's probably muddy, but there's crushed gravel for a little bit, and we'll show you how we do it in the chapel. Yeah. And then if you come back here and nobody's in here, we're all out there.
1.5, 3 years, 6 years.
Thanks so much. You're welcome. Everybody's been so nice.
So the way that it works is that the earlier the age, the softer the cheese. And then the later the age, the more crumbly it gets. And that's why they call it sharp. So we've already bought some cheeses already here in this, at this farm. Look at that big slice of cheese over there. Pretty awesome. 6 years that thing has been aging. Sugarbush Farms. All right, so that's the end of our tour, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida, here in Vermont, and Woodstock, Vermont. So if you like what you see here, blah, blah, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button. Share this information so YouTube come to Woodstock, Vermont, here at Sugarbush Farms. It's been quite a treat. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Eat some cheese. Have some maple syrup.
Are you?